Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be building a frame handled buoy, a gentleman's buoy, mini buoy. It'll look like a buoy, just kind of small. Let's take a look at the drawing. Okay, so I hope you can see this okay. I'll get a close-up shot so you can see it a little better. I've got my knife here, and this is the drawing of that knife, of course without the threaded tang. I'll be coming in here threading the tang, and I'll be cutting my frame out of some mono steel. Actually, I'll be using some 1084, and I'm going to be building a bridge in here, something that I learned from Carl Anderson. If you need to check out his channel, I'll leave a link to it in my bio. He does great work, and he's a great guy. And I think he's one of the first people who ever come up with this idea. Now, you can cut this bridge into your frame, but I want to be able to take it out. And I don't like the idea of just making a slot through the tang and threading it and kind of centering it in there. I've got a bridge here that'll have a hole drilled through it. Now, the bridge is going to be a little thick because my tang is going to be around 200 thousandths here. And I'll be using a 10/32 screw, which means I'll need a 3/16 hole. So I went with 1/4 inch bridge design. It's about a 1/2 inch wide, and it'll have a 3/16 hole through it, which means it'll be a little wider than the tang on each side. Now, I will taper it off on each side, but I will compensate that thickness in the handle material by dipping it out a little bit. The frame will come in here, and we'll have a guard, probably have a Damascus spacer here, and the tang will slip up in here with these ears on the end of the frame. Something else also Carl created. So the first thing I got to do though is get the shoulder squared up on the knife, and I'll be going to the mill because I'm going to cut a little relief in there. I usually do this with my file guide over to grinder. I've shown how to do it, but I like to do it on my mill. So we'll get that done first and proceed to building the guard. All right, so we got our shoulders milled, and I've got a little relief cut right here, and it's flat. And this is what we'll fit our guard up to. Now, I still have to bring this blade up to the final finish. It's very close. It's like at 400 grit, and I'll take it up more. Now, this is a feather Damascus blade. I forged this from a billet I made a few videos back where I made 3 knives out of it, and this is the last one, and it's going to be our frame handle. Now, what I've got to do next is make the guard, and I've got a piece of titanium here marked out, and I'm going to get it milled. Now, titanium is fun to work. It's tough. I use carbide mills and carbide tools to cut it. You don't have to use titanium. I'm just using it on here because I'm going to try to match this color in the scales that I'll be using on this knife, and try to get somewhere close. I just thought it would make a nice contrast. Now, the spacer is going to be a piece of twist Damascus that I have to reduce the thickness on a little, but it'll go in there behind it, and that'll look pretty nice, I think. So let's get this chucked up in the mill and get our slot cut and fit it up. All right, we got the guard fit up. And I know you probably can't see it because my autofocus not working here, but we're at the point now where it's time to start working on the spacer. And I'll get all that done before I start doing any shaping on the guard. But what I have done, this is a piece of twist damascus, and it's about 1/8 of an inch thicker than what I have designed on the drawing. Drawing is about a 1/4 inch spacer, but I like got to looking at it, I like the width better on this 3/8 spacer. I think it'll show the pattern a little more, so it means my frame will be about 1/8 shorter here, which is no problem. And now what it's time to do is get the spacer slot cut and fit up. So we'll take it over to the mill. I'm going to drill in down to all around 60 thousandths or so, and then mill out the actual slot. So let's do it. All right, we got our slot done in our back spacer, and I have glued it to the guard. And what I'm going to do now is drill my lineup pinholes. But I don't know if you can see this or not, but on the back side here of the spacer, there is a cutout, milled out, a little bit on each side, 1/8, that will allow the ears that I talked about, or lugs, or whatever you want to call them, to go up into the spacer. That'll help, line everything up for one, but it will keep everything square. And when I make the frame, I will be milling the tops of that, or the ends of the frame, and the lugs, so that everything is square. And they'll go down in here and seat, and then the rest of the frame will fit up against the back, or the spacer. I keep calling it back spacer. I'm not making folders today. So now I'm going to go ahead and take over to the drill, and we're going to drill our lineup pins that will come down into the guard about halfway. There won't be any sculpting on the fronts, just on the sides, and polished and cleaned. Let's do it. With the guard and spacer done, now it's time to go ahead and cut out the frame. Now I've got it glued here onto the piece I'm going to use for the frame. I'm going to get it cut out and get these ends squared up and get the lugs cut that go up into the spacer. This is going to be fun because I got to make a cutout here, but we'll get it done. All right, I got the frame in good shape. Now I need to thread this tang, and I got to make the coupling that'll go between the tang and the bridge. So I'm going to be using a 1032 screw, so I need this at 3/16, and I'll round these corners over. I'll try to show you some shots here. All right, so what I've got here is the frame sticking out the bottom here, and these lugs I've cut and I've just got them in a file guide and get them good and flat and square. And now I want to put a 10/1000 recess on each side, because that's what I need to get into the frame, is set up against the spacer here. So that 10/1000 will be riding on the outside while the lugs go in here on the inside. And they will go in about 80 or 90 thousandths. But I'm just going to do this with a file, and I'll test it as I go. But this is how I'll do it. I wanted to show you this. And, you know, I could mill these and mill the lugs and all that, but it's just as fast to set it up with a file guide. By the time you get everything trimmed out and trimmed and square in the mill, you've already got it done. All right, so I got it all together and looking pretty good. I got just a little bit of work to do right here on the front end, but won't stop me from what I want to do next, and that is get the guard traced out. And I've got a metal template here. It's one I've used on some other knives, so it has a little slop in it, but I'm going to put it on here and trace it out and get the guard cut out. And I know I'm out of focus, but that's her right there. And we'll get that done, and I'll start working on the spacer. So there you can see the slop, I guess you can. It was the other knife or knives had a wider tang at the ricasso, but I'll get it traced out and put together. This thing is very tight. You can't move it, and it's going to make a nice frame. I forgot to mention that I went ahead and cut the clip in while I had the protective sleeve off of here, but the clip is done, and a little more sanding will have this blade ready. Of course, I got to put the logo on, but I've got the guard traced out, and I'm going to go get it cut. All right, so this is where we're at right now. Got the guard pretty much finished, just a little bit of hand sanding left, and our spacer is very close. But I'm at a good point now where I can start working on drilling my holes and getting ready to install the handle material. The guard, of course, will be anodized to match some of the color in this handle. That's my thinking anyway. I may go a different route, but we'll see. I've got my holes laid out here, and I'll be using 1/16 inch pins to pin them. Now this will be filled with epoxy, but I just wanted to go over a couple things here. The bridge is cut to fit in the slot, has a 3/16 hole through it with a socket head cap screw coming in to a coupling. The coupling is screwed down first. The screw is put in, and the coupling is threaded up on and leaving about a 1/16 gap up here, and I'll tighten it with an Allen wrench that fits up in here that I've shortened. Kind of hard to show it on camera because I know it's out of focus, but that's what tightens it. And I can tell you it's very snug. Those lugs are in there, they're seated, and they act like pins, and it keeps this frame square, and you cannot move it. It is very strong. It'll be there forever. So let's get these holes drilled. I'm gonna go ahead and do the handles as well and get it ready to start profiling. I'll profile it with temporary pins. Okay, we've got everything etched and cleaned up, the blade, the spacer, and the frame. And now it's time to glue up everything. I'll finish the pins out after it's glued up. That's the only thing I'll have to do. And that won't take but a second. Go over to the grinder, polish them right up to the handles, and she's done. But I'll show you the final results here in just a second. But I hope you got something out of this. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my patrons. I really appreciate your support. And here she is.